Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for clicking on this video. It's going to be your first step in realizing why exactly it is that you are struggling to get better at the game of chess. Let me tell you how this video is going to work. I am going to give you the 3 major reasons you are not improving as a chess player right now. Number 1, you do not have a good enough understanding of the openings that you are playing or chess openings in general. You make the same mistakes, or you don't have the fundamentals down, or you cannot actually explain the plans of your openings. Maybe you watch videos, maybe you buy courses. That is reason number 1. Number 2, you never think for your opponent, okay? You are only thinking for yourself. We're gonna jump into that. And number 3, you only think in one move bursts. What that means is you might just make a trade for the sake of making a trade. You might just attack something for the sake of attacking something. And it goes for looking at what your opponent wants to do as well. These are the 3 reasons. Now, we are going to jump into games that my subscribers were brave enough to submit to me. After we look at all those games, we will see how all of these problems come up throughout the rating ladder. In this video, games are between the ratings of 400 to 2200. So do not think for a second that you are outside of the range for this video. First, let's jump into openings, okay? Timestamps are on the video player. You are more than welcome to skip ahead to where we actually get into the subscriber games. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about openings. The best example of this is when you have the black pieces, and in the early stages of the rating ladder, you are getting hit with things like this. Queen to h5, the scholar's mate attack, and you blunder, and they take your pawn, and you get forked, and then you lose a rook. Now, in the opening phase of the game, when you get hit with tricks and traps, the secret is to not have it happen 2 or 3 times. In chess, at most, you get that allotted amount of time and attempts at getting something correct. When you are a super beginner, you need to get your fundamentals down with black and with white. What does that mean? 1 pawn in the center if it's possible, okay? 2 pawns in the center if it's possible. Right now, it's not possible. So you need to develop your knights before your bishops. Okay, you need to take central pawns when they arrive. You need to not leave them in the center of the board. You need to get your knights out, your bishops out, get your king to safety. And when you get hit with these kind of cheesy, tricky, aggressive things, you don't just go, oh, well, that was tough, and then move on with life. You gotta go learn how to deal with that, right? So this video is to compel you to realize that getting bad positions in the openings is 100% completely avoidable. You don't have to do that. You don't have to get bad positions in the opening. Now, for the more advanced beginners and for like the intermediate folks, okay, a lot of you like a YouTuber, maybe like myself. A lot of you decide to buy a course, okay? The best example of this is maybe people who want to play the E4 course or the London. Now, the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else, provided that you can teach it to somebody else. If I left you with a chessboard and I was just there listening, can you explain the Vienna to me? Can you explain the opening that you play to someone? In the Vienna, for example, after knight to c3, the Vienna is only possible against e5, by the way. Some of you play the Vienna and then start thinking, oh, well, I'm playing the Vienna against this opening. No, there's no such thing as playing the Vienna against another opening. You understand? That's already a complete fundamental misunderstanding of an opening. So let's say you do know how to play the Vienna. Do you know the symmetrical Vienna? All right? Copycat. Do you know how to play the Vienna Gambit? What are the most popular moves here for black in the Vienna Gambit? Can you explain all of these things to somebody when you don't have an opening course in front of you? When you don't have a cheat sheet in front of you? If you can't, then you don't know your openings. I urge every single person who is listening to me right now, okay? It doesn't matter what opening you play. You can play d4, maybe you play a Catalan, okay? Do you know all the variations of the Catalan? Can you think about them from your opponent's perspective? No? Well, then you don't know your opening, and if you cannot think of the best variations for your opponent, that flows into the second problem of this video, which we are about to get into. Many of you play chess as a fundamentally selfish game, and chess is a very individualistic activity. Look at this position. This is from a blitz game that I had, the names are not inversed. I had the white pieces here. What is the best move here for black? Okay, what is the best move here for black? Now, you can pause here if you'd like. Now, if you said that the best move here for black is the move queen takes knight, I don't blame you. It's an absolutely free knight. The problem with this move is that you lose the game in one move. How many of you fell for that? Now, a lot of you are going to lie, okay? A lot of you are going to say, oh, I saw that. This is checkmate in one move. This position is the perfect example, okay, of why so many of you are struggling at the game. Because I said, what's the best move for black? And you probably went, queen takes knight, free knight. But white, see, and the reason I have highlighted moves off, so for instance, highlight move on, you would see this, and your attention would be drawn to the queen, and maybe you'd go, oh, well, it can't take that, but then you would see, oh, but wait a minute, right? And in the game, black went here, and the battle continued, okay? Black blocked my queen from checkmating them. Chess is a game where you need to acknowledge what your opponent wants as well. And the more you play, and the better you get, the faster you're going to be at processing all of the things that your opponent wants to do with less time on the clock. But right now, a lot of you are playing 10-minute and 15-minute games. And now we're going to go through a whole list of games. I'm going to try to do this in about 25 minutes. If I go too fast, okay, watch the video a second time. Bless. Appreciate y'all very much. This was a game sent by two 1500s, okay? First things first. White plays a Ponziani, okay, Ponziani opening. Black, totally losing position in the first, like, 6 moves. Doesn't know the Ponziani opening. So what should black do when this game is over? Go learn the Ponziani opening. You see, this is how you learn, folks. Black got a totally lost position. Now watch this. Black gives the check, tries to develop a piece, and then in this position, thinking in one move bursts. Why trade the bishop for the knight there? There's no need to do that. The bishop was not under attack. The bishop is better than the knight, right? One move bursts. White now has a beautiful position. Now, what does white, and look at this, black should be trying to castle, but instead black goes here, and now white breaks the structure. It is completely winning for white. It is totally over. Now, white wants to get a queen here. White wants to get a knight here. That's what white wants. Maybe castling. That's another thing that white should consider. What does black want? Black wants to make sure the position stays as closed as possible and get their king over there. That's what black wants. Black wants safety for the king. Now, this position goes completely nuts. Okay, white plays too slowly. White allows black to more or less consolidate, and now absolute loss of focus, trying to go over here. That's not what the position demands. Now c4. That's not what the position demands. And over time, black gets totally kicked out, and all of a sudden, white has no advantage. Like, white gets kicked out. White has no advantage. You go back a few moves, it was +3 because white needed to attack the weaknesses. That pawn is literally you can't guard it with black. And white just gets just one move thoughts. Now it gets even wilder. So white plays check and bishop takes h7, a one mover that hangs a bishop. Black plays queen takes h3 because you cannot take the queen because you're pinned. But the bishop was attacking the rook. I just don't understand. Guys? This is a one move kind of a thing. I mean, come on. And this is not a mate because this is protected. Trust me, that wasn't even the end of it. That wasn't even the end of it. Black actually got back into this game. Look at the position. But knight takes f3? In this position, it is -13 for black. If black plays knight c2 check and then knight back to e3, I mean, the game is over. It's like forced mate soon. Forced checkmate very soon. And black has 2 minutes 40 seconds to play knight c2, knight e3. Instead, black plays knight takes f3, which just loses a knight. You know why black played knight takes f3? Because black thought, if this, then this. You guys need to stop proving yourselves right, okay? You need to stop proving yourselves correct. Prove yourselves wrong. Why does a move not work? Because of this. And white, it was still very dramatic. You know, the game actually white did not win this game, just even crazier. But this is all Bad opening and one move bursts. Now, here's another little example, all right? This opening is pretty good. Knight d5, don't really love it, but fine. White gets a very nice position from the opening. Now, folks, watch this. Pieces are going to clear out here. We have the following position, okay? First things first, that's just the one mover, but white goes here. Okay, white doesn't see it. Now, this is the part of the game that gets me very upset. This is why you guys are struggling to improve. Okay, rook g8, once again, free pawn, but knight c5. Okay, in this position, this knight does not actually attack anything. Everything is defended. Black needs to ask, what can white take? That. You play f6, you're fine. Instead, black goes here, which just allows this, just completely allows rook takes pawn, which is a fork. Now, white needs to ask, what is black threatening? Well, black is not threatening this, but black is threatening bishop takes knight. And that. The best move here for white is kind of tricky. It's rook d1, hitting this. Then white is winning. White can also give a check and get in the way. Instead, white completely misses this with 12 minutes on the clock and plays b4. And black goes here. And now white doesn't even acknowledge the threat of rook g2 or king e5. And instead white takes the knight. Just no acknowledgement of another person on the other side. Black goes here. And now white can either move to the corner and get checkmated or go to f1. White gets checkmated. I mean, 3 in a row. There is a hanging rook. This is going to be blundered afterward. And there's mate. Literally any rook move is mate. What does black play? Black plays this. Black doesn't play mate in 1, but black goes on, and white re-checkmates themselves, and instead black wins the rook and white resigns. Folks, this is why you can't get out of 900 1,000, because you just spend no time thinking about what your opponents want. I am telling you, with this much time on the clock, it is inexcusable not to sit there for a moment and go, what can black take? This is the only thing outside of king takes knight. And let me tell you, this one is far more dangerous. Knight to e4. Knight to e4. I mean, there is a reason white did not play, white played b4, because white saw that the rook was completely protected. So, folks, we're going to keep moving, all right? The point is not to make fun of people. We're not here to make fun of people. Now, you see what black just played? Black played a very aggressive line against the London, trying to play the move e5. Everything that you're doing here is trying to play the move e5. All right, you pin the knight to the queen so that you can take the knight and play the move e5. What? G5? But now there's this. I mean, this is, you're playing openings from videos, but you don't exactly know how to deal with them. And now you have to block the check. Do you block the check with the safe move or the move that loses 2 pawns? 2 pawns. But why? I mean, there's no, but why? No, oh my goodness. And this game also features a lot of these one movers. Watch, a lot of thinking in one moves here. White plays the move c4. What does my opponent want? My opponent wants to open up the c file to use their rook. So you should play the move d4 here and not let that happen. You shouldn't take and allow and white just goes on to win the bishop. I mean, white could have played b4. But folks, white goes here with the intention of activating the rook, and you just give them the red carpet. I mean, it's these little moments with 7 minutes on the clock. You have to be thinking about how your opponent wants to defeat you, right? Please, I am urging you. And, well, white actually did a very nice job in this game. This game was a little bit crazy and all over the place, but white actually was doing quite well. I mean, they simplified, and I think, yeah, right here, king c6, they... White did very well. King c6 attacking the knight, and then white just lost the knight. And then white still won. Again, just always these little things. This one, yeah, this one was a bad opening. This was I mean, f6. I mean, guys, we can't be doing this kind of stuff. And then allowing your opponent to have the whole center while sabotaging your own development and your own right to castle. And then boom, 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 you're down a piece on move 8. Guys, it's these little things. You gotta fix. What does my opponent want? Stop thinking in one move bursts. and you gotta have a sense of what to do in the opening, all right? Here's a fun one, a Sicilian defense. All right, knight f3, bishop c4 against the Sicilian. Don't hate it, not really a great opening, but look at this. Bishop c4, and now bishop b5 2 moves later. You can't play openings like this. Leave the bishop where it is. Make progress with the rest of your pieces. And yet, all right, game is normal game. For the most part, normal game. And now, black actually did a fantastic job in this game. Black created a weakness, okay? Attacked the weakness, applied pressure, got a great position, and now it just needs to knock on the door to split up the defense of the white position. Black played so well. For so long, they were making aggressive moves. Look at this. F takes e5. All right, queen c7, rook f5. And then in this position, black just said, I'm going to trade my queen. All advantage gone, like this. Just all advantage, just because I don't know, I want to trade my queen. No. Every trade has a winner and a loser. Just because the queens are both worth 9 points. Black has had pressure in this game, the whole game. You just made white move a bishop to a home square. White hasn't moved the rook in the corner. Folks, you have to think about what the opponent wants. The opponent wants these trades. And then what does white go on to do? Kick out the rook and actually get a good position. Now, of course, as fate would have it, you know, the game turns into an endgame and, well, pandemonium, and black wins anyway. Another moment, rook b1 check. Where does white move the king and why? Why? What is black's next move? You have to think about what your opponent is going to attack. What is black's next move? And black's next move is wherever you move the king, black is going to pin the bishop to the king. And when you go here, your king is too far. Now, I understand there's a minute on the clock. I know. I'm just saying, this is why you're bad, okay? I need to make it, you know, theatrical and dramatic. Like, these are the little things you have to fix. You got to go, oh, well, if I go king f2 and rook b2, then king e2. Fantastic. I guard my bishop. So king f2. But folks, these are the things you have to fix. All right? These one movers. Now, this is a 2000 level game. All right? Now, the person with the black pieces is a subscriber, and the opening was good in this game, obviously. You know, these players are experienced. But there was a moment in this game that absolutely blew my mind. So, it even happened here, like around move 15. So, it was takes, queen g4. Now, black saw that white's idea of queen g4 was not to take on g7, but it was to play f4. White wants to start an attack with f4, e5, f5. That's what white wants. So black played this move, so after f4, they could move the bishop to safety. But it doesn't make sense what they did because they moved their bishop in the line of sight of the queen. So white just showed you the plan. You acknowledged the plan, and then you move the bishop directly into the line of fire. Now black is lost. It's 6 minutes, 7 minutes on the clock, right? It happens even at this level. Now, black is able to bounce back a little bit, and a nice idea here, queen d7, but that doesn't work because pawn takes pawn, queen takes queen, pawn takes check. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes queen, pawn takes check, and white is just 2 pawns up. White is just winning. +4, right? Like, queen d7, pawn takes pawn. What does black want? Black wants to castle. Do you know how much money black would pay to castle? And you let them castle. You don't play FG, you do all the hard stuff, and then you let black castle. Now black is okay. Now you still gotta play pawn takes pawn. You still gotta find a way through. Rook f2? And now black activates the bishop and black is winning. Why is black winning? Because now black escaped danger and can lock the position. How do you completely shut down the white attack? Do you open the position or close it? You gotta close it. Lock the door. I mean, white has nothing now. Look at your bishop. Look at your pawns. What does black do? Opens the position. Not only does black open the position, black now allows the queen to take on f7. I mean, white lost the attack. The attack was no more. And now black trades queens and allows the rook on the most active square on the board. But why? There was no need to do that. You didn't have to trade queens. Nobody held you hostage. You could have played rook to f8. You could have played rook to h7. It's not checkers. You could have gotten a position that looks like this. Okay, rook f8, rook... Oh my god, what is that stupid glitch? This happens all the time. Chess.com, please fix this. All right, rook takes f8. And black is better. Black is better despite being a pawn down. Black's better despite being a pawn down. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Instead, it was a one mover. You just took the queen because it was there. You didn't think about the ramifications of the... Now white just has a winning endgame. White has a winning endgame, and white, to his credit, did a very nice job getting the king out. Excellent, by the way. Black just, delayed in bringing the king out and wins the pawn and goes on to win the game. Even at 2,000, one movers are all over the place. Now, couple more for you, all right? 300. I told you we were going down to 300. Why are we going down to 300? Because a lot of you see openings like this, and you need to know how to punish openings like this, all right? You could argue that white could have tried to get in here. I'm not gonna, but like, okay, for example, right here. Should white trade the bishop here, or should white defend the bishop? The answer is... Benji, sit down. Benji's shoving his snoot into my arm, so I pet him. The answer, of course, is you take black's bishop. Why? Why in this case should you actually trade rather than doing something like this? Because if you take on d7, black loses the right to castle, folks. Black loses the right to castle. Bonus question. White plays the move knight e5 check. Do you take the knight with black? Do you take the knight with black? Oh my god, it's check. It's a free knight. No. Because this discovered check, the queen is hanging. This is the stuff you need to improve at to gain more points. Think for your opponent. Do not take the knight on e5. Just move the damn king. It's not checkers. Nobody has to take the knight. Anyway, in this game, white should have taken the bishop. Okay? White did not take the bishop, and it was a crazy game. Now, when I say crazy, that's an understatement. Knight d6 check. Simply losing the knight in one move. Cut back on these. All right, please, can I be taken? Can my pieces be captured? And black did a nice job in this game getting a totally crushing position, and then completely disregarded that the queen could arrive down this way, and now white is winning again. White is completely winning. All right? Queen takes d5. Rook to f7 is just simply mate in 3. Just simply checkmate in a few moves. Instead of that, white gets tunnel vision, okay? And goes to take the rook, and it's still mate in a few moves. Now, anything can take on a7, the rook or the queen. Rook f7 instead. And queen h2. And now queen h1, queen e1 is mate, but that's a little bit too hard at 300 level. Now, what is white thinking about? White's probably thinking like, okay, I gotta not get mated, right? I gotta make sure I do not get mated. Queen f2, so I gotta give checks. Gotta keep giving checks, otherwise there's... I mean, folks, you see what I'm saying? Like, how can you not stop for a second and go, I think my king is in danger? You gotta do this. This is the reason you cannot improve. You're not thinking about the other person. You are playing queen a7 and this is happening. You're going, oh man, I missed that. Don't! You have to look at the same moves that your opponent is looking at. Don't be selfish. Now, there was one final game I wanted to show you. It was a game between two 2200s, okay? Like, this is the highest rated game. Now, they played a Tartic Hour. It was all good. This is all blend. This is a main line, okay? And even they can benefit from this lesson. This was the position that they got from the opening. A very balanced game, okay? Black has done a nice job here, putting out the bishops. Black has good pressure. All right, now, if I'm playing black here, I obviously do not trade. I do not want to allow this knight to come forward. There is no reason for me to do that. If I'm playing black here, I'm thinking, all right, well, this is defended, so let me just launch my pawns. Let me play a5, a4, b4. I don't like black's next move. Stockfish seems to think it's okay, but for the purposes of today's lesson, bishop d5 is not a good move. You're not actually threatening to win this pawn, okay? You're not threatening really to win this pawn because you just open up white's attack. Like, why, right? Now, white needs to understand that in a position of opposite side castling, you have to start an attack. Like rook g1, g4 is absolutely mandatory. The way white handles this position kind of made me want to throw up a little bit, okay? So white traded and then blocked the bishop's attack. Now, I love a5. I love that move. And now white went to the middle. And then tried to like trade some pieces. And then black did a nice job. I like what black did in this position. Okay, there's going to be a lot less frequency of mistakes. But how do you give up your bishop for the knight and not continue with the pawn attack? Like b3, a3, a3. Now black plays knight e6, fine. And white here totally malfunctions. Check, queen f5. Now, I want you to look at this from black's perspective. Queen f5, what is the threat of the move queen f5? Okay, number one, what's the threat? The threat of the move queen f5 is to play queen here. That's the threat. And then move the bishop and try to checkmate you. How do you stop that? Do you have to stop that? No, because that is not the way you think about chess. Checks, captures, attacks. You got no good checks, you got no checks, you got no good captures. But this bishop has no moves at all. This literally just wins the bishop. This just wins the bishop. Okay, you lose h5, but this is, okay, you lose f7. You have an extra knight. You win the game. Queen f5 is not a good move. But black plays this instead. b4. Queen h5 is now very much a thing. White goes here. What on earth? Now, this is a little bit of a tricky move, make no mistake. But, I mean, look at this. This is... So now the move bishop to f5 check wins the queen. So black does this. And now the game rages on. I mean, it's complete craziness. Rook d8. Okay, because if you went forward, there was all sorts of back rank problems. And black just trades off into a totally lost endgame. Like +4, just immediately. And white just pushes everything forward, has 3 passed pawns, and wins very easily. So black had to make the transition from middle game to endgame. Black had to realize, I probably should not be trading the queens. And if I trade the queens, I sure as heck gotta realize that if I keep pushing forward, I'm gonna lose my pawns. And they did. They lost all their pawns. So even at the highest level, these mistakes persist. 2000s, 2200s, they're just less frequent, okay? They're less frequent, and the responses to those errors and inaccuracies is a bit more sophisticated. I tried to show you as many examples in this video as I could. If I went too fast, just rewatch. Just rewatch. It's okay to rewatch chess content, I promise. All right? Rewatch, dive a little bit deeper into the example, study it on your screen, be like, oh, okay, I fully understand now what's going on. At 2000 and 2200 level, the same things happen. They're just less frequent, and they're a bit more sophisticated to punish. Like the bishop getting trapped that you just saw. White went for this attack. Black could have just very easily refuted it. So, you have to deal with opening garbage. Beyond opening garbage, you have to understand your openings, you have to understand the plans, and you need to be able to teach it to someone. If you are unable to convey information and relay it to another individual, you don't know how to play your openings. Number 2, what does my opponent want? Look at your opponent checks, opponent's captures, opponent's attacks, and in general, be thinking about what it is that they want to do to you. Put yourself in their shoes, okay? And decide whether you need to react or not. You don't always need to react to what they're doing, but you need to know what they're trying to do. And the third thing is you got to stop thinking in these one movers. Bishop takes bishop, knight takes knight, knight takes bishop, queen takes queen. Stop trading instantly. Think of the ramifications of the trading. Stop thinking about things in one move plans. I'm going to go here. Because then you're not thinking about what the opponent wants to do, or you're not considering all your other options. You're cutting yourself short, selling yourself short, stopping your plans from developing into what they could be. These 3 reasons combined, all right? Losing games in the opening for no reason. Throwing games because you're not thinking about what your opponent wants to do. And limiting your options and limiting your ability to develop some thought processes for both yourself and the person you're playing because you're only thinking in 1, at most 2 move bursts. It's the reason you're bad at chess. This video was not meant as an insult. It was meant as a motivator. And these are all things that we have to find within ourselves to get better at the game. Now get out of here.